personally changed my dating life currently, and it's currently changing things for the better. And I feel like I can't just keep it to myself. I feel like I gotta let the shidduchim world know about it.
This was not what I was presented at all.
Sarah and Max, an unlikely pair in this wild podcast. They're the perfect flair. Sarah charms, so feminine and free. A Cali girl spirit under the podcast tree. Max a strong force with a punch in every word. Together they navigate the dating absurd. Don't forget to hit subscribe, join the crew for more laughs and tales just for you. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Good for Shidduchim. I'm your host, Sarah Levine. With me, I have my co-host with me, Max Landesman. His background may be a little different, but that's okay. Yep. We are doing this for you guys, even though come travel or vacation, Shidduchim we don't take a vacation sleeps. From the podcast.
That's right.
What?
That's right. Shidduchim never sleeps.
Yeah. Anyways, please, guys, like us, subscribe to us, leave a 5-star review. Please email us, goodforshidduchim@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, which is at goodforshidduchim, or hashtag goodforshidduchim. Max puts up all of our videos and a lot of content on there. So if you missed anything on the podcast, it's all visual and it's on there as well. So this week we are actually, I'm going to have Max kind of take it away. We have an interesting topic. We were kind of bouncing around ideas, but I feel like this vibe this week is going to be a little more chill. It's going to be a little more kind of our thoughts, feelings about something. So Max, why don't you take it away?
Before we get into it, we have to tell people where I am. We're literally the headquarters of all things shidduchim. Literally, this is the epitome of hotel lobby shidduch date. The Prima King.
The Prima Kings.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm 99.9% sure that in Shtisel, that whenever they have a flashback of whenever there was a date, the date was in the Prima. They would walk up to the Prima Kings and stay in that hotel lobby we passed at least 1,200 times. And so, like, this is literally headquarters of Shidduchim. So it's very apropos we do a podcast in the Shidduchim headquarters. By the way, in the lobby of this hotel, you will walk. There's like a gift shop on the right, and there's like this wall of random photos. They have photos of like random priests. They have photos of, landmarks. And there's one photo of my friend's wife, apparently. You know who he is.
Back in the day when she was much younger.
Yeah, she was doubting at the cold cell. Basically, this whole happened. He told me about it like a while ago. So when I came back here, that was the first thing I looked for. And I'm like, sure enough, it's right there. And he's like, what the hell? Why'd you put up a picture of my wife? And he wanted to take it down. They want to take it down. It's actually really funny. But it's her davening at the hotel, whatever, davening at the hotel. But that's really
whatever
funny.
You prefer.
Yeah. So obviously it was good for shidduchim. She was probably praying for shidduchim, and she got a really good shidduch. So obviously, it kind of worked out. So anyways, I wanted to talk about a topic that has personally changed my dating life currently, and it's currently changing things for the better. And I feel like I can't just keep it to myself. I feel like I gotta let the shidduchim world know about it, even though no one's probably going to do it anyways, because we're all talk and no action, right? Everyone's all talk and no action. Meaning,
right. I hope we change that, but okay, go ahead.
We hope we change that. But anyways, I want to talk about artificial intelligence in shidduchim, AI. So about specifically the dating apps. Speaking for men, I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but it's interesting. It's like a lot of the guys will say it's like the girls don't respond or they ghost us all the time, which is 100% true. And then the girls are like, they would completely react the other way and say like, the guys ghost us also. So coming from the guy side, which I think I'm going to be focusing on a lot, and I think it's going to actually help out the girl side as well, which is the conversation aspect of, connecting. Number one, the bio. I've come across this AI thing called Fonzie.ai. Fonzie.
Ponzi?
Fonzie, like like Fonzie from Happy Days.
Like a Ponzi scheme?
Not Fonzie.
Oh, Fonzie.
Fonzie.
Okay, like
AI.
the Fonz from Happy
That's
Days.
right. They are not sponsoring this video, but
Uh,
I'm not kidding. This has really
okay.
changed. This has really changed the game, at least for me. Like I've clearly seen like much better quality matches, much better conversations, and much better dates, from it.
Hmm.
And so basically what it is, it helps you essentially create like this killer bio. I'm really good with the resume stuff. However, I'll be honest with like the J Swipe bio or whatever it is, I definitely could use some help. And so they actually help me out. And they create like, these three lines. They ask you questions such as, what does a Friday night look by you? What was the greatest place you've ever visited? And they ask you a bunch of random questions. And then they compile essentially three sentences, three like banger sentences for your excuse me, for your profile. So number one, I didn't change my photos. I didn't change anything about that. The only thing I changed was my bio. Just from that, I've been matching with girls that probably already said no before, but now have said yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So, but then again, so like, okay, so the life of the guy on a dating app is literally, it's like, there's so many people can joke about it or whatever, but typically, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of girls get a lot of, hey, what's up? How many did you get? A lot of that?
Right.
Like when someone reached out to you.
I mean, or there are some guys here and there that would open up with like a really funny joke or like a funny story,
A funny story? How? Okay, and what would that do?
Yeah.
And what would that separate them from the pack?
So it's interesting to me. I kind of didn't care how a guy would like open it up. I think that's just that's just not, in my opinion, it's just like not putting, like like I feel like it's putting like too much pressure in the wrong area. Like some guys may just be really bad at like opening lines or like bad at like first like reaching out. So, I mean, I just respected the fact if they were just kind and did reach out. I like, yeah, there were some times where I got like a nice chuckle out of whatever the guys were saying, but I personally wasn't like, okay, um the guy who has like the best opening line, that's like who I'm gonna go out with. That was just me personally. It
So
was like
like,
a bonus. It was like an added like bonus, but
I hear you. With all due respect, I just think you're a quality person. And I feel like though,
mm.
not saying other people aren't, but I feel like you're a very rare breed, where such as like you didn't care how tall the guy was even, right? I think that's a really big thing in the
Right.
woman's side. They don't want to date someone who's shorter than them, but you didn't seem to care. But it just seems like I'm speaking on behalf of, I feel like most guys, maybe not all guys, but definitely most guys, where girls just do not care to respond because from what I've learned, why should they? They're not really wowed. They just say, hey, what's up? They get literally a million messages. Hey, what's up? Why should they respond to you? And so that's basically
Right.
from the guy's side, you get ghosted and people get very frustrated and it leads nowhere.
Right.
So I'm very into what's great about having your own podcast is that, and also dating at the same time, is that I can do it for two different reasons. Number one, I do want to date and I do want to get married, right? But at the other side, there is no
Right.
losing for me. Like this is a scientific project, which I'm trying to expand my horizon in general. But at the end of the day, I can still talk about it on a podcast, which is what we're doing right now.
Right.
Like I had no idea
Exactly.
what it would work.
Do you have an example though?
Yeah.
Do you have an example, Max,
Well,
of like,
yeah.
oh,
Well,
okay, yeah.
what's amazing is that it's not really an app; it's a number you text. By the way, for all disclosure, I actually paid for this. Like I tested it out first. I thought it was great, and I paid for it. It's very cheap. It's like $44. I get like 6 months worth of access. And so what makes it so cool is that you could actually, let's say, you see someone's profile, you have a hard time coming up with something to say, especially if a girl doesn't have much on there. You could actually take a screenshot of the profile, text it to this number, Fonzie, and it will come back with 3 different openers that you can use. So,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
it's very cool. It's like very, very cool. So, for example, with this one person, I don't want to mention names or anything like that, but
Yeah.
for this one person, I'll just say from her profile, it said she worked in healthcare, right? She wrote something about, liking to laugh. Like everyone writes that, right? But basically that's all she wrote. So it's like hard to kind of come up with something. But here's what Fonzie came up for me, and what I eventually chose was, I'm like, healthcare hero. I can't speak. Healthcare hero with a humor cape ?
With a humor
With a
cape?
humor cape ? It sounds stupid.
Oh, with a humor
With a
cape.
humor cape. Healthcare hero with a humor cape.
Okay, so what did she respond?
More like healthcare hustler with full-time humor. But I got a response. The point is that I got a response.
What did she say?
That's what she said. More like healthcare hustler with full-time humor. So that was
Oh.
that was her response. But then it turned into like a whole conversation. It was actually like the greatest conversation I ever had, which led to an amazing date, actually. I'm skipping a lot.
Oh, wow.
But I just wanted to skip that just to show like it actually worked. It actually is like phenomenal. But I wanted to show like some of the negatives, I guess, about it, which is I guess some of the science, like the science project aspect of it, which was how much should I use of it. So it's like I thought originally I'm just going to keep using it. Like essentially she'll send me a response. I'll take a picture of the response, send it back to Fonzie to see what it says. And then I kept doing it, not necessarily with this girl, but with girls before. And they sort of got like annoyed a little bit. They felt like it was like too artificial, intelligent type stuff. So then I realized, I'm like, use it for your opening line just to get the ball rolling, but then use your head for the rest of it. But it's like really
because you want to be genuine. You don't want to just be an AI robot.
The thing is you have to balance a fine line. Girls say they want like a nice guy. They really don't. I mean, like, yeah, when they get married, maybe, but like at first, you want someone to wow you. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you want someone who's interesting.
Well, I mean, I think you want someone to like catches like that you're interested in. Like, oh, he's interesting.
Right.
He's different from the other ones.
Right. Like, I don't think "Hey, how are you" is going to do it.
Right.
So like this is,
I mean, it could be, even though it's so basic, like it could, but you do have a better chance of catching someone's interest by having more of a like opener that you're like, oh, that's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Or like, I want to talk to him more because like he has a good sense of humor.
By the way, for the record, our male listenership has gone up. And our non-binary,
nice. Okay, good.
Our non-binary has gone down from 0.4% to 0.3%.
Okay.
That's just joke. Whatever. But anyway,
I was like, oh, I didn't know we could measure that, but great.
Well, I don't, but Spotify does. Spotify measures that because I posted the stats, and then a bunch of people kept messaging me and be like, "I didn't realize non-binary people listen to Good for Shidduchim." But
maybe they didn't choose a gender. It's okay.
It is what it is. You live your life. But
yeah.
But anyways, so we're increasing in guy listenership, which I think is great. But for the guys who are listening to this who are single, they all feel the same. They all feel the pain. They all feel like this sucks. And I've been telling some people about this app because I'm like, I hate to say it, but I'm like killing it with this thing. Thank God it's like really, listen, it's not perfect. It doesn't work every single time, but I'm saying the level, like the level of, I would say, just girl that I'm going out, like much higher quality, much better connection with someone by the time you even meet. Like you feel like you feel like you know the person by the time you go out. Almost. It just
Oh,
like
wow.
read it just
So
like read
is it working, like, on all of the apps, though? Like, you use it for all the apps, or does it only, like, really
what are
work on
all
a
the apps?
certain type
I
of
really
app?
primarily use JSwipe. And this is coming from
Okay.
someone who for a long time just stopped using it because it just wasn't working for me. Just wasn't good.
Right.
Now I feel like with this
I feel like that's the J Swipe, like the J Swipe, what's it called? Like two step or whatever.
what's
Like the
that?
hustle,
What's that?
like a dance move. Like, everybody that I know, including myself, always they would like take a hiatus from J Swipe. So like you would be on it for a couple months, then you get off of it, then you go back on it, go back off it, then you go back on it.
Yeah, I
It
guess.
just seems like it's the thing to do.
But now it's like I have a
I
game
feel
plan.
like you always have to take a break.
But now it's like I have a game plan and it's like exciting to actually use. And like I'm saying, I talk to my other guy friends. They're in all fairness, they're really pissed about it. They hate it. They feel like constantly ghosted. They feel that nothing is working. They're not meeting anybody. I'm sure girls feel that way also, or
Mhm.
they're just not getting wild enough or whatever it is, and it's just not working for anybody. And so
Right.
it's been like crazy, crazy good. And so I ended up having like a full fledged conversation with this girl. Like from what I've learned from this experiment is it really is all about just that initial one or two messages to like, kind of push her off her toes, if that's a saying, if that's a saying at all.
Right.
And then it kind of naturally gets into like a real conversation where you don't have to worry about getting ghosted pretty much. You feel like you kind of have like a hook in where there's like an actual connection and then you can actually just be yourself. So like from a negative side of things where if a woman's like, "Oh, they're using AI to do it." I don't think first of all, I don't think they would care. I feel like they would actually prefer it because they're actually talking to someone who's interesting now, apparently, because they actually have something interesting to say. They actually read their profile, whatever. And but overall, there's nothing fake about it for the meaning it's just like the first one or two lines, but everything else is just you. Everything else is up to you. And like it's been
Right.
really good.
Okay, good. Um, just to get it out of the way, this is not sponsored at
This is
all
not sponsored at all.
by
You know what this is for?
by Fonz.
You know what this was made for? This is made for Tinder.
Okay.
This is not made it's not like
Sure,
they
why
made
not?
some maybe we should make one for J-Swipe specifically. Um,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but
maybe.
this
That would
was
be a
made
good
for
idea.
Tinder specifically, and, like, it's been working. It's been working. I'm telling you,
Has there ever been any glitches in it though when you've been like sending a message or something and you're like, "Oh my gosh, no, that's not at all what I wanted to say." Because it's AI, it's not like 100% like
well
it's not a person, so it's not going to catch the mistake, you know?
that's the human element. I mean, it's not like the thing is on the app itself. It's everything is separate, meaning it's like via text message, right? It sends me like three options and I'll choose an option or, customize to my liking and I'll then copy and paste it in or whatever and
Right.
use it at my discretion. I think what I learned is don't overuse it. Like use it for the first line or two, or whatever it is, and then stop using it. Once there's like interest, then just act like yourself. Just be yourself,
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
It's just to separate you
Okay,
from everyone
great.
else. Just to separate you from everyone else. Yeah.
No, it's good to
What
know, and I'm
what's
happy that it's working for you.
what are your thoughts on this from a woman's perspective?
Um, like I said, I personally wasn't like upset or like I didn't like choose who I wanted to go out with based solely just off on how he opened up to texting. I know it's like a shtick on like a lot of these apps that like you have to reel the girl in because there are a lot of people texting each other, like back and forth. So like you have to like stick out of the crowd a little bit. So how are you going to do that? You're going to either present like a funny joke or like a funny opener or something like that, a good liner, a good one liner. Like I personally like, yes, like you like it, that for me it did get points. Like I was like, oh, this guy actually like took the time to figure like to look through my profile and try to put something together. It's like flattering, like that's nice. It definitely gives you like, I would say like a push up in the line, if you're talking to someone who's like completely like boring or whatever, doesn't have so much character to them, it kind of solidifies the character of the person immediately, so it grabs you in. But I don't think it's bad. It sounds great. I do agree where you don't want to take it too far, because like it comes to a certain point where like the girl's gonna want to talk to you and
Right, of
not
course.
be
You have to still
thinking
learn how to talk.
through AI at a certain point, and you don't want to have to rely solely just on the AI element to get through a text conversation, or to be like, I can't come up with something funny on my own, so I'm just gonna rely on this. I don't think that is kind of, like a little scary. I'll give the example. Your brother, when we were engaged,
Yeah.
he wrote me a personal note. Did he tell you this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so he wrote me a personal note, and it was a really nice note. And then I realized it was all like AI.
Oh,
It was all
no.
ChatGPT.
So I do remember this. I do remember this. Well,
I
you
got
just told me.
so mad.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, come on." It was actually it was a very, very nice letter. And I was like, "Oh, he knows how to write. He's a very good writer. Like, this is so nice." So I would
How
suggest
did you figure it out?
maybe don't take it
How did
that far.
how did you figure it out?
I figured it out
I mean,
because
were you
I think he
initially
was
like,
showing me.
wow, like this is like really impactful, amazing leather, and you're reading it again, you're like, wait a minute. Whatever.
No, because he hinted it. He didn't like, he was talking about ChatGPT. He was like, "Yeah, it's great. Like, you can put any thoughts that you have, or like anything you want, like to you don't have to like think about it. You just like write it out, and ChatGPT can like give you a whole thing." And
Right.
I was thinking, I was like, "Did you do that to the letter that you wrote
He shot
me?"
himself in the foot. He shot himself in the foot.
And
Well, so it's
he
not
was like,
like you were reading it and you're like, wow, this is AI. You just he said something later on. He's like, Sarah, you won't believe like this ChatGPT thing. Like you could just input anything you want. It can even write like great
yeah,
engagement letters, whatever it is.
yeah,
And then you just
exactly.
what was his response? He's like,
It was actually after we're married. It was after we're married. I
well,
was
see,
like,
so
"Did you
he already
use
closed the deal.
Yeah. I was like, "Did you use ChatGPT for this note?" And he was like,
No.
"No." I was like, "Okay, for everything now that you write me, it has to be 100% genuine. Like, I don't want any ChatGPT."
Well,
You know?
the fact
At a
that
certain point, you want the real person.
that's
You
such
don't
a
want a
that's such a
ChatGPT.
Shlomi thing to do, by the way. Use ChatGPT. Well, like at that stage, though, like
Like, don't think like, I don't think guys should think like they're getting away, with like wowing a woman, because like obviously we're not stupid. We know a lot of AI stuff is out there. Um and I guess to a certain point, like, yeah, we appreciate the like how intelligent it can be, and like, yeah, it does spit out pretty useful um things. But at a certain point, like, you're gonna need to be your genuine self and write as terribly as you usually do, or whatever it is. Like, you don't want to take it too far. You really don't, because then and then you don't want the girl to second guess, like, is this AI or is this the guy? And
Right.
like, why is he being lazy? Why can't he just be himself? So you don't want to take it too far.
I
I see
thought
that happening,
right.
but
I mean, I Shlomi's situation I feel like is so different. Like at that point where you're literally getting engaged, like, yeah, you gotta write that yourself. You gotta write that yourself. That's so real.
uh,
I do actually remember that, and that was actually hilarious. I'm like,
it
wow,
was actually really funny when I found out. I
that's
was I
fun.
wasn't mad. I was just like kind of stunned.
I'm totally not stunned at all. I totally can see like so like in our work we use I don't use ChatGPT. I use Perplexity, which I think is even better because like
Oh, okay. So there you go.
Perplexity is more like up to date type stuff, and ChatGPT is still like up to a certain point. But like we use it in our everyday thing. I just didn't. It's just funny that he used it for his. It was a letter to get engaged or something. What was the letter? It was just
No, I think it was like we were engaged, and I
oh
think it was we got engaged during Hanukkah. So I think he got me a gift, and then it was like a Hanukkah card that had like it was a very lovely written poem by a poem, not poem, like a letter written
right,
by ChatGPT.
right. But when you were reading it, you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. I was like, "This is so beautiful. He knows how to write so well."
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "Wow." I was like,
You guys, the
I
power of
I was very
ChatGPT.
intimidated by how well he was writing. What?
Really? Wow. That's so
Yeah.
see, ChatGPT really does come and he closed the deal. He closed the deal. I don't see
Yeah,
it.
and then it just went downhill from there.
That's funny. But yeah, like this yeah, you eventually I think this has been really good to start because I honestly, even if the girl knows that the guy is using like AI or whatever it is, I'm only guessing. You can tell me for sure, but I think they would appreciate a much more interesting, like, what do you call unpredictable message versus the "Hey, how are you" type stuff. Even if they
Yeah,
know it's not
sure.
even real or whatever, it's not necessarily not real. It just
No, sure.
it
Of
just they just
course.
want
Yeah, it's a lot more interesting for sure. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
because tell me if I'm wrong, but the last thing they want is just some pushover, quote unquote, nice guy.
Right.
Like nobody wants that.
No, I mean, yeah, it definitely gives you a leg up for sure. I'm not disagreeing.
Here's
You just
here,
got to be careful.
yeah. Here, can I give another example? It's like these are like very
Yeah.
simple examples. It's not even like super complicated. But like this girl wrote in her profile something about she likes reading books. Great. So what did I write? Your top 3 books, question mark, go. It's that simple.
Okay.
And it turned into a whole conversation. She gave me her top 3 books. It happens to know I know at least 2 of the 3 books. One of them I did read within the last 12 months. And that sparked a whole
Wait, can you
conversation.
tell us the books or no? Is that giving too much away?
I don't think it's giving it too much away. Um, I don't know. This is still pretty fresh. I'd rather keep all details hidden, whatever it is.
Okay,
It's
fine.
literally
That's
it's like
fine. That's
it's like
fine.
very, very fresh stuff. So
Hey, whatever's good for shidduchim.
long story short, she mentioned her 3 books. She asked me for mine. So then we were able to get into like this whole conversation because I told her I actually read that book. It happened to be I hated that book. I was really like everyone loved it. Everyone loved it except me. I think it wasn't a great book. I
Okay.
did learn one thing from it, but then I gave her my list, and it just became like it became like an actual conversation. It just flowed, and like that's it. And
Oh,
but
okay.
but then again, like I wanted to switch to how to ask her out, so I wanted to do it in like a not just a straight up way, but like to be a little different. So I used Fonzie again, and it came up with this. We were talking about certain books like their personal like personal growth type books or whatever it is. So my message was,
Hmm.
let's swap personal growth hacks over coffee. So I'm not just asking her straight up, let's go for coffee. It's more of a, I don't know. I don't know what you would call it, but I think it's a little better than basically it's not just the stale coffee. It's a little bit, it's fresher. It's a little fresher.
And did she agree to it? Like, did it work?
Sounds like a plan. The only issue is I'm in Israel.
Right. Okay, fine. So when you get back.
So yeah, but she responded pretty quickly. She like sounds like a plan. So yeah, then then I use Fonzie again. I'm like, apps crashing, save our chat. What's your number? Meaning I wanted to ask for a number because I'm not, we're not going to go out right then and there because we're probably going to go out in a week or so, whatever it is. Hopefully she's not listening to this episode. If she did, that would actually be really funny. Because it's still pretty fresh. But yeah, so then she sent me her number and that was it. Well, I'm telling you, like this Fonzie thing is fantastic. If you can
Wow.
use it the right way.
Right.
95% of what's written is me. Like there's still a full conversation here, whatever it is. It's just that the one or two times that I need it, it comes through. Like it really changes the outcome of like everything. And
That's so good.
just from the past, just from like, the better conversation you can have with someone, I guess, early on, the better the meetup is. It's like if you don't really talk, you just like meet up, whatever it is. It's a lot different than you feeling like you have a connection with someone and then you meet them. Like it's so much better. It's just so much better.
Right.
So like,
No. Yeah.
it's just like crazy. So like I felt like the need to talk about it. I feel like this could really benefit a lot of people. I feel like no one's actually going to do it though. But I'm telling you, like if you've got like the cahoots to actually do it, it's not.
I mean, listen, the tool is out there. Like you spoke about it, like
I'm saying
it's out there.
For $44 to completely change your entire dating life, is more than worth it. Is more than worth it.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
if guys struggle, especially with guys who really struggle with like opening lines and have so much anxiety, I can imagine just a lot of people just don't reach out at the end of the day because they don't know what to say. And that's a shame because then it's an opportunity lost. So instead of losing out on an opportunity to actually go out with somebody, they can use this tool. So that's great. I mean, I personally think it would be fantastic.
I do think that the ladies actually also, again, like even if they know it's 100% AI, whatever it is, I do think they appreciate it also because again, it's not the same. They just want a decent guy. Like if you can just like present yourself in a little bit of a better fashion, a little bit more exciting or whatever it is, then hey, how are you? I think it works
Right.
out for both sides, helping solve the shidduch crisis one text at a time.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
No, I hear how it's a good tool. Yeah, for sure.
What other podcast is talking about the shidduchim Fonzie.ai?
What?
I was just making a joke. I'm like, who else is talking about Fonzie.ai? It's literally a Tinder tool, but I'm using it for myself, and it's working on JSwipe. Like, this is fantastic. Like,
Sure.
yeah, nobody talks about this stuff. Who else is going to talk about this?
No.
Yeah.
Only on our podcast will
Only
we
on
talk
Good
about
for
this stuff.
shidduchim. But yeah, Anyways, that's what I wanted to talk about this week. But yeah, we're still in Israel, even though we're only like 8-minute walk away. We still have to do it on like separate because I don't have the equipment to like do it in the same place or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, it's actually pretty good. Okay, yeah, Max. So that's actually a really nice it's nice words of advice, and hopefully people start using it. But like I said, we're being very chill this episode. So you had your piece and I was gonna say mine. I was just having a thought. We all just had gone to get some ice cream in Mamila, and I just was not so upset, but I was just, I don't know. I gave somebody, I guess, too much control over uh an idea for one of our friends, and I'm just, like, back to square one, I feel like, about shidduchim. Like, I thought I was trying to change how I could help my friends date and everything, but it just turns out, like, I'm just, like, back to where it was at the beginning. So, I know I was explaining this to you, but I'll explain it to the followers as well, is that, um one of my, sister's friends had come up to me and suggested one of their family members, and asked me if I had any guys for them, and I said, "Just tell me a little bit more about her." And I feel like the criteria list was just so unrealistic. There was a lot of, like, mentioning about a guy's hair, like how tall he was, or like, is he balding, and like, how old is he, and stuff like this.
Typical
And I
stuff.
was like, okay, well, I guess she's like, she has high standards, I guess. I don't know. So I answered this person who approached me, and I was thinking about this one guy, and it just turns out that, like, on her end, she wasn't holding up, I guess, to the standard that she was expecting for a guy. It was more like her standard was like at one point, and the standard that she wanted for a guy was so much higher than that. And I presented my friend, and like, this girl actually really wanted them to go out. But, my friend actually said no at the end, and she was so upset. She was, like, she was when I was like, "Nah," he said, "No, I'm sorry, like, I'll think of other guys." She was, like, kind of upset, but I got upset because I was like, what was I saying, Max? I was that, like, I had no control over the situation. What was I saying? I can't remember.
You're talking about how basically they didn't give you, like, you asked for some info, they didn't give it to you apparently. And you asked them a question, they answered one way, and then you found in reality it's like totally not like that at all.
Right. Oh, and then you can't just trust anybody. You literally cannot trust anybody in shidduchim. Like,
If
I
you
cannot trust this woman any, like, once like, I just can't trust her. If she ever comes to me again and is like, "I actually have another girl in mind, and she's this way and this way and this way," I can't trust her. I have to do my own, like, FBI, CIA type work. Like, I'm never gonna trust this woman again.
right.
You know what
Because
I mean? I was, like, so upset. I was like, "How is it that I literally cannot trust somebody like her?" Like, if I can't trust somebody like her, then, like, forget it for people that, like, are kind of removed from whoever is approaching them. I was just so upset that, like, the lack of trust that is actually still out there. I was, like, thinking how like, I was so naive. I was like, "Things are changing out there for shidduchim, and, like, people are getting to know each other a little bit better, and, like, if they wanna set people up, they aren't trying to, like, be so, um, nitpicky, and they aren't trying and they're trying to be as genuine as they can." I was just, like, so naive, and, like, when I found out like, tonight, or, like, when I had that realization tonight, I was like, "No, I still can't trust anybody."
right.
I can't trust
Well,
somebody coming up to me and explaining to me like, about their family member who's looking for someone, and then I also can't trust the person who's explaining themselves to me. Like, it's, like, crazy.
like basically what happened was they said one thing to you, and then you did a little digging and realized it's total BS.
Yeah, but not only that, it was just, like, like, the interrogation questions that were presented to me, like, "Oh, do you have a guy for her? Is he like this? Is he like
Right.
that?" she only likes this. She only likes that.
Right.
I'm like thinking like, dang, who is this girl? You know,
Right.
that and also like, who is this guy that I'm gonna set her up with that's like the full package? Because apparently that's what she wants.
Well, who doesn't want a
And
full
then I
package?
find out a couple things about her, and I'm like, wait a minute, this was not what I was presented at all.
Right. So you feel like you're
So it was
duped.
just like so
Feel like you're duped.
confusing, and it was just very frustrating. And now I have to hire an FBI agent, and do my own CIA work because I can't trust anybody.
Well, I stopped trusting people a long time ago. I still trust people, but like maybe you or Shlomi. And but outside that, yeah.
I'm nervous that you trust me.
Well, I don't fully trust
I'm so
you.
nervous you
I don't
trust
fully
me.
trust you.
We'll try.
I don't fully I don't listen, I don't fully trust you, but you know, like I'm
Okay,
willing to listen.
good.
I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen.
Okay, good.
I think Shlomi is the only person that
Because after that, I like trusted this woman so much with like what the information she was giving me. I was like, why wouldn't I trust her? There's no reason for me not to trust her. I know who she is. You know, it's not a random.
this is
And well,
this is I talk about this a lot, especially on resumes on people. One of my like short videos that I made about resumes was that people write them as if they're trying to make themselves sound like they're perfect, like they've never dealt with anything in their life. They're from the greatest school. They have no issues. Everything's great, whatever it is. And when I feel that they're actually hurting themselves by not just being genuine about who they are, like just own it. Just own who you are because that's where the connection comes from. You can't connect I it's
right.
they're not it, no one can connect to just because someone trying to come off as perfect or whatever it is. It's not real. It's not real life, and it's hard to connect to. Versus
100%. But also it's like, if you want Ryan Gosling and you aren't up to Ryan Gosling level, like, I don't know what you want. Why are you asking for Ryan Gosling? That's kind of like where I was coming from. Like, I don't understand. Like, all these bullet points are just they were so high. Like, all the standards were so high. And I mean, I did what I could. I wasn't like actively looking for someone with these high standards. But
must
I
be
did present. I thought I presented like my friend who met some of the standards, but it just did not vibe with what, like, the standards were so high,
it's like
but she
drop.
herself didn't meet those standards. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So like,
I'm not sure our listeners know what you mean, but I know what you mean.
I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. It just comes down to trust, and that you can't. I mean, that I can't. I cannot trust anybody who presents with anything. If I don't know, if I do not meet the person in person, I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I just can't set people up. I personally have to meet them. I cannot take from somebody else what they say about a person seriously, because it's completely and utterly biased. The only thing I can do is meet with the person and then make a decision
Make
in
your own
that way.
conclusion. Yeah. Well, I told you about
What?
there's a mutual friend that we share that because of someone mentioned that this guy should go out with this girl. It was mentioned to him, but the person described this girl as an edelmadel. In reality, she's the furthest thing from it. And because they told him
Oh
that,
yeah.
he decided to nix it. ended up getting married, but a year late, meaning they met a year after they should have met. Because
That is crazy.
They can't give over the right information. This happens all the time. This whole shidduch system is based on this. It's like no one actually knows anybody. They just read a resume, and it's all bullcrap anyways. There's nothing on it.
Right.
You know? And people are trying
But
to
that was the thing. I wasn't presented with a resume. Like I was hearing it from somebody who actually knew this you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what
and
you mean.
And then she gave me the resume after.
Exactly. And then, yeah, you realize that they're not what they say they are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's the whole shidduch system.
I just hope for our listeners who are out there, you just feel really bad. I'm personally going to try a little harder.
But it's not the good
what?
for shidduchim. This is what the shidduch system generally is, but it's not the good for shidduchim way of doing things.
No, but I'm going to try to change that because that's the only way I feel like. You got to know each other, in my opinion. You can't just like... Yeah. Okay, well, that was my rant. Yeah. That was your rant.
We both had a rant tonight. And
we both had our thoughts.
It's good to be in Israel. It's good to be in Israel. I love this place. I haven't been back in 14 years.
Yeah, you have to go. I forget to whose kever it is, but I think it's like near Tzfat, and you walk around 7 times on the rooftop for a shidduch.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Did you do it?
I did it in seminary, but I mean, I got married like 10 years later. Did it help? I don't know.
I'm not going all this spot to run around a chicken coop 7 times for shidduchim.
There are a lot of other things you could do, but you could try that one.
Listen, I sent a prayer for everyone when I was at the Kosel. For all people should find their b'sher for shidduchim. And hopefully it pays off one day.
Yeah.
Hopefully people can find their person.
Yeah. Well, that was really nice.
Especially the listeners to good for shidduchim.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, our listeners.
Yeah.
We thank you so much. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. That was just our chill episode. A thought of Max, a thought from me. We hope you guys enjoyed. Like us, subscribe, and until next time, we'll talk later. Bye.
And remember, everything will always be about shidduchim. Catch you in the next episode.